So I want to continue to apologize to all of those that normally would join us on Facebook. We have not been able to get Facebook working correctly as of yet. We are still working on that and trying to figure that all out. I know that a lot of people like that format better than YouTube, and some are not actually able to get on the YouTube format, so that makes it frustrating for them. And those that aren't able to come, we want them to be able to be a part of our services in any way that they can. Some of those that are on Facebook kind of like the fact that they can comment and talk to each other and interact with other people. You know, that's part of what church is about, that fellowship that's there. And there are some other churches that are having the same problem. It's probably not an issue that happens upstairs. I'd just like to say that all of our tech guys and sound ministers do a great job, and I'm thankful for everything they do for us and helping us out. And a lot of times, if anything goes wrong, that's where everybody looks. And that doesn't happen very often because they are excellent at what they do, and we appreciate their service. So tonight's lesson and Bible application is going to be very practical. It's not the same sort of Bible study we normally have on Wednesday nights, but it's something that all of us need as we move towards Easter Sunday. And I hope you'll take this in and that all of you that are here tonight will respond. I'm going to call on every one of you to respond to tonight's message on Easter Sunday. And so a couple of verses we're going to start off with. If you want, turn to Genesis chapter 18. As you're turning there, I'm going to read some other verses as we head that way. The first is Romans chapter 12, verse 10 through 13. Be kindly affectioned one to another with brotherly love and honor, preferring one another, not slothful in business, fervent in prayer, in a spirit, serving the Lord, rejoicing in hope, patient in tribulation, continuing instant in prayer, distributing to the necessity of saints, given to hospitality. The things I want you to notice, first of all, is being kindly affectioned one to another. And then the last part of that verse, given to hospitality. And hospitality is kind of our word of focus this evening. 1 Peter 4, 8 and 9. Above all things, have fervent charity and unselfish giving love among yourselves, for charity shall cover the multitude of sins. Use hospitality one to another without grudging. And so we see the word again, hospitality. Hebrews 13:2 says, be not forgetful to entertain strangers, for thereby some have entertained angels unaware. And the verse is there. It's in the Bible. The possibility is there because it is in the Bible. Do you think you've ever met an angel and didn't know it? And there could have even been an angel at some point come into our service and we didn't know it. And we were completely unaware. But the Bible says that sometimes we entertain them, and they're here. And so we want to make sure that we treat them nicely if they come. And that's what Genesis 18 is all about. This is when Abraham received some heavenly visitors. The Lord appeared unto him in the plains of Mamre, and he sat in the tent door in the heat of the day. And he lifted up his eyes and looked, and lo, 3 men stood by him. And when he saw them, he ran to meet them from the tent door and bowed himself toward the ground and said, my Lord, if now I have found favor in thy sight, pass not away, I pray thee, from thy servant. Let a little water, I pray you, be fetched, and wash your feet, and rest yourselves under the tree. And I'll fetch a morsel of bread, and comfort you your hearts. After that you shall pass on, for therefore are you come to your servant? And they said, so do as thou hast said. And Abraham hastened into the tent unto Sarah, and said, make ready quickly 3 measures of fine meal, knead it, and make cakes upon the hearth. And Abraham ran unto the herd and fetched a calf, tender and good, and gave it unto the young man, and he hasted to dress it. He took butter and milk and the calf which he had dressed, and set it before them, and he stood by them under the tree, and they did eat. Now, this word hospitality in the ancient Near East played a very distinct, important role in tribal and domestic life. Existence in the desert made it a necessity, and among the nomads it became a highly esteemed virtue. By it, the stranger or the weary traveler found rest, food, shelter, asylum, and it was supported by the fact that, hey, someday I might be that guy that needs someone to help me out. I might need shelter. I might need rest. I might be traveling, and I want to do to that person the same thing that I would want them to do unto me. And then there's also the possibility that that stranger was divinely sent. So when people come to your house, what do? Do you get ready for them? If you entertain guests, if you're having people coming over to the house, maybe you say, oh, we never have anyone over. then that's going to be difficult for you to imagine. But let's say you have people coming to visit. Maybe it's family come to visit, friends coming to visit. Is hospitality important? I would like to think that it is. Maybe do a little extra cleaning, preparation. You want to do everything you can to make them feel comfortable. And at home, you want to pay special attention to their needs while they're there. Let them know you're glad that they are there. So thankful that you came. I'm glad you're here. And when our first two kids left, we had a big gap between our first two and our second two. When the first two left, and then they were coming back with their family, their husband and their family, to our house. And before we did the same thing we've always done if someone's coming. We clean. We do the extra cleaning. We do the floors. We do the dusting. We do everything that needs to be done. And the last two would say, "It's just our sisters. Why are we doing this? And why do we have to clean for them? They're part of who we are. They're part of our family. Now we do that for them." And I don't know if they recognize it or realize it or not. They come in, they destroy, they leave, they come back, and then it's all clean again. And you think eventually it would kind of dawn on them. But we regularly have a lot of guests that attend our services. And so tonight what we're doing is we're going to talk through the treatment of our guests. We're going to talk about hospitality. And we've done this sometimes before, and it's been way too long this time. I would like to do it about every 5 years. I don't think we've done this in 10 years. But we want to talk about what we should do when someone comes to our house. And we want our guests to leave believing that this church really cares about them individually. And the guest that comes into our building is a weary traveler, and they're seeking spiritual rest, spiritual nourishment, asylum from the onslaught of the world, shelter from the storms of life. And if someone is visiting our services, we certainly want to be nice to them when they show up, right? And we want them to know that we care and that we're glad that they're here and that they're important to us. God expects us to be sensitive to the needs, fears, and hang-ups of unbelievers or guests when they appear in our worship service. They may be a believer, they may not be a believer. We don't always know. And so we do some things, and you see some things that we do. We have our greeters. Our greeters do a great job of meeting people, catching people as they come through the door. We also have people in our classrooms that catch guests. Some of our classes are just really good at that. After the services, the staff tries to be out in the foyer. And you'll be surprised how often I'm watching around on a Sunday morning and we have guests and I want to catch them after the service and I'm not able to, because they're going to be the first ones out the door if we aren't careful. But so it's really this responsibility of entertaining our guests and showing them hospitality is the responsibility of every single member of Overland Park Baptist Temple. This is your house. This is your church. 1 Timothy 3:15 says we need to know how we ought to behave ourselves in the house of God, which is the church of the living God, the pillar and ground of the truth. This is your house. This is your home. This is your church home, your church family. Colossians 4:5 says, walk in wisdom toward them that are without. And that's what we're going to try to do tonight, redeeming the time. We may not have a whole lot of time to connect with them and introduce them to Jesus Christ, especially on Easter. And so we want to do everything that we possibly can to make this happen. 1 Corinthians 10:32 says, give none offense, neither to the Jews or the Gentiles, nor to the church of God. We wouldn't want someone to be offended because we didn't love them and show our love to them when they come in. And no matter who they are, where they come from, what their background is, what their culture is like, we want everybody to know that we love them and we care about them and they're important to us. There was a lady in Lincoln, Nebraska, that went to 18 churches on consecutive Sundays to rate their friendliness. And she arrived early, and she sat near the front of the auditorium. And before the start of the services, she walked to the back of the auditorium and then went back to the front of the auditorium and sat down just to make herself conspicuous, right? And on purpose. And I know some visitors, we have some visitors sometimes that'll come in after we've already started services. And then when we're praying, they're out the door. Those are really hard to catch. I guess we just have to wave as they go by maybe. But this lady wanted to leave no excuses. And she dressed neatly, nice. She smiled. She asked at least one person to direct her somewhere in the church. And then she rated the churches under the following scale: 10 points for a smile, 10 points for a greeting. Hey, how are you today? 100 points for an exchange of names. Hi, I am, and you are. 100 points. 200 points if someone invited her to an activity. 1,000 points if that member introduced her to another member. And 2,000 points if one of those members happened to introduce her to the pastor. 18 churches. And the results of the survey, all 18 churches scored less than 100 points. And you think, well, but that is just devastating. And the researcher concluded this: the preaching may be biblical, the singing inspirational, the sermon uplifting, but when a visitor finds no one cares whether or not she or he is there, they will likely not come back. There was a lady that almost visited our church once, and on a Sunday morning, and I didn't have a chance to meet her. I just saw her from a distance, and then she was gone. She came in and she sat on the second row right here. This was a long time ago. Right before the service started, she was already seated there. And then again before the service started, she got up and left. And I have no idea where she went. She was just gone. I asked someone, did you see that person that was here? Nope, I didn't see him. Someone else came up to me and said, Pastor, did you see that person? I saw that person. Did you meet them? No, and went on to tell me why they thought they might have left. And I'm like, but did you talk to them? Did you say hello to them? Did you greet them? Nope, I had no idea who that person was. And there's been oftentimes when I've watched people come in, like on a Wednesday night even, or a Sunday, and come in and sit down. And on Wednesday night, it's normally tough for me. I can't get to the back before people can leave on Wednesday night because I normally dismiss from here. And I've seen people come in that I didn't have any idea who they were, and I can't catch them before they get to that door. And we just want to make sure that everyone realizes, hey, it might be my responsibility to say hello to this person as well. And my family visits churches every once in a while when we go on vacation, right? And we'll go to churches that we've never been to before. And the one emotion that I would say that my family, and now it's just us two almost, but I would say that through those years when we were all 6 of us, I mean, a family of 6 is pretty conspicuous coming in as visitors, right? Especially when you have older and younger and you're trying to find classes and all those kind of things. One emotion that would describe what they're normally feeling, and that is the word fear. And I visit different kinds of churches on purpose, like big churches, small churches, and because I want to know what it feels like to be a visitor. But normally there's that feeling of being scared and awkward and uneasy and nervous. And so from the moment you get out of a car, people are thinking, wow, people are looking at me. I mean, you're on the parking lot now. And and then you come in, do I really want to leave my baby in the nursery with people that I don't even know? Is my child going to be secure if I let him go to one of these classes? For the most part in our world today, people are not that secure with us. And my children had been in church every day of their life. And we would go to churches even when they were in grade school and middle school, and they wouldn't want to go by themselves. It's just Sunday school. You go to Sunday school every week, go in. Nope, I don't want to do that. I either want to go with someone else or be beside someone else, or I'll just stay with you. And my kids, as you know, are pretty outgoing. But still, it was very uncomfortable for them going into the unknown. And so the question is, what can we do to make a person feel comfortable? And for this task as a whole, I would like the help of every single one of you. And visitors have already formed an opinion about our church within 10 minutes after they arrive, according to most statistics. And visitors are deciding whether or not they're going to come back long before the pastor ever gets up to provide a message. And so first impressions are very difficult to change. And so we need to think through all those first impressions that our guests have when they visit here. We never have a second chance to make a first impression. So what we're going to do is we want to get into the mind of the visitor and go through some steps to help them feel welcome. They pull into this parking lot, It wouldn't hurt if we left some spaces for visitors, especially on Easter Sunday. We'll have a lot of extra cars here that are coming in for church, and instead of having them park way far away, it wouldn't be bad if those of you who are here bright and early, you parked the furthest away and walked on in and let people have those best parking spots when they come. And say I'm new to the church and I don't know my way around. I may have been invited by a friend, decided to just check out the church on my own, or just felt moved by the Lord. I think I'll come to that church. I always ask people, how'd you hear about our church? Did you come with someone? Did someone invite you? Almost without exception in the day and age which we live, people have visited the internet. They visited our church online now before they ever come here, which is one of the reasons I kind of like to get Facebook back up. And I may be someone looking for answers to the problems of life, or a new Christian, or a longtime believer, or a family looking for a new place to worship. And although I put on a brave front, inside I feel uneasy about the surroundings and the people that pass me by. There was a new family that visited Sunday, and they just moved here from New York City. Can you imagine coming to Kansas City from New York City and not finding pecani sauce? No, not really. You're just trying to come in, and you don't know what anything is, where anything is. You don't know the people. And just out of curiosity, how many people met the man and his wife and the little girl from New York City? All right. And so, thank you. Awesome. Yeah, were you at the desk Sunday? You were one of our greeters Sunday. Awesome. Way to go. And so they're just here. They don't know anybody. And so I want to know. So in dealing with visitors, it's important to recognize that their first emotional response is a little bit of apprehension and a little bit of fear. If they're unchurched people, they're wondering what's going to happen to me here. They have the same fears that you would have if you went into a mosque for the first time. Are they going to lock me in here? Are they going to beat me? Are they going to have snakes in the auditorium? What are they going to do? And will they single me out? Will they say something to me and point me out in front of everybody? Will I be embarrassed by anything? For introverts, and I don't know, is it half and half the population? I don't know. But for introverts, it's their worst nightmare, going to some place where they know no one and trying to walk into that. So, because visitors are filled with fear and apprehension and anxiety, our first objective is to help them relax. And sometimes that means we need to be calm ourselves and reduce their fears, and they'll be more receptive to the gospel. Our greeters help with that. That's why they're at the desk. That's why they're there. And but this really begins in the parking lot. And if you see someone you don't know, introduce yourself. Now, here's a precaution. Make sure they're a visitor. And we had a family that came here for 6 weeks in a row, and they had attended for years, and for 6 weeks in a row, someone said, "Have we met before?" And so as you begin to talk to someone, just make sure you can begin the conversation a little bit. You can say, "Have we met before?" Don't say, "Hey, is this your first time here?" Because it may have been their 16th time here, and they just sat in a different part of the auditorium. And eventually, we'd like to know all the members of our family. And as your family grows, are there people in your family that you don't even know? Cousins, maybe aunts, uncles. We'd like to know everybody in the family, and we don't want to call someone Durwood if their name's Darren, right? And how many of you remember that? And it's very few. I have no idea what that meant. And now the visitor is here. If you see them out in the parking lot, you may talk to them. We literally had a first-time visitor Sunday that someone drove into the parking lot. They wanted to give something to someone else, and they didn't know who goes to church here, and they gave it to a first-time visitor. And the first-time visitor's like, "I don't know what this is. I'm supposed to give it to. Do you know who that person is?" And so first-time visitors, they're like, "This church is wacko," right? And we don't know what is going on. And so the visitor now is from the parking lot. They have a nice place to park. If you see them in the parking lot, you've already started talking to them, helping them relax. Now they arrive at the front door, and they are constantly asking themselves this question: do I belong here? Their basic need is to feel connected and accepted. And when you enter our lobby for the first time, especially in between classes, there are people going every which way. It's like a freeway without lines. And people are racing everywhere, frantically looking for their friends, heading to church classes, hurrying to their favorite seat. And they don't even know where to go. They have no idea. And so we always need more official greeters, right? Of course. Because if a greeter's at the station and then we have someone that needs to be led somewhere, they're leaving the station to take them there, so someone else has to be in their place. But honestly, people expect greeters to be nice to them and direct them to their proper place. So you don't get any points. It's not fair, but they just expect you to do your job. They know that's what you're there for. And help and assist people in every way possible. Be other-minded. Let them know you care about them, their family, by your actions, by the things you say. But it's really best if every single person says, okay, I'm going to be a greeter. I'm going to help people to feel comfortable, even if it's not your official job. A funny thing about visitors who are coming with the intention of finding a church home, they often arrive early. Visitors, especially if it's like a family and they're coming in looking for a new church, they don't know where the classrooms are. They don't know where the 7-year-old, the 4-year-old, and the 12-year-old go to class. They know it's going to take some time to find it all. So they will be here early, and they think, okay, I'm here, nobody else is here. You know why? Because members know how long it takes them to get from their house to the church. Exactly. They know if I leave my house at 9:17, I can arrive at the church at 9:29 in the parking lot. I could probably be in class. I know it starts at 9:30, but I could probably be in class by 9:35, 9:40, right? And so in the parking lot, they have exactly 1 minute to get to church because they know how long it takes. I mean, isn't that true? You know exactly how many minutes it takes you to get from your house to here already. Everybody that's here. All right? And so we still sometimes have people coming in when we start at 9:30 and at 10:45 and at 7 o'clock. We're starting, and there's lots of people that are still coming in. And honestly, it's probably a habit, but it can be a pretty poor testimony to our visitors. And what happens if the visitor on a Sunday morning is the first one here, they're trying to find the classes for themselves and their kids, and the child goes to the class, but no one else is in the class yet because they're not going to get there till 9:35, and then they're all sitting there for 5, 10, 15 minutes waiting on someone to come. They are not impressed, and the longer they sit there, the more unrelaxed, stiff, and uncomfortable they become. And if you invite someone to your house, don't you normally try to be there? Hey, you guys come over for dinner. What time do you want me to come? 7 o'clock. I'll probably be there about 8 o'clock, but go ahead. Just make yourself at home in the front yard, and I'll let you in when I get there. But no, we normally try to be comfortable and be there. Our services begin at 9:30, so some of you, I hope, are thinking, what time should I be at church? 9 wouldn't hurt. 9:15 at the latest. And not just next Sunday or Easter Sunday, but every Sunday. Come early. Fill up the class before it ever begins. And you could do that. It's just a reestablishing of your thinking and your habit. So let's say you're a visitor and you come in at 9:15, and kids are already having a great time in the class, and they're coloring and they're talking. And then you get to your adult class, and everybody is in there eating a donut and drinking some coffee and talking to each other, and they see you come in and they engage you immediately. Wow, totally different atmosphere. All kinds of people, all kinds of needs walk through our door on any given Sunday. Very seldom do we ever have a Sunday without multiple first-time visitors. They might just need directions. We do have directions on how to find the restrooms now. That's helped, right? They could be going through a personal crisis. We don't know. But if someone walks up and say, hey, can I help you with anything? Especially if they look a little bit lost, can I help you find a class? Is there anything you're looking for, anything you need? It can help that person relax and know that they are in a place where people really care. A visitor's wondering, do people care that I'm here? And that's what we want to project to visitors. If you come here, we're going to love you. No matter what the problems are in your life, no matter what's going on, what you look like, what you've done, you're going to be loved in this place. And our goal is to show them what a Christian love is and help them find their way around and to know that they care. 1 John 4:5 says, "He that loveth not knoweth not God, for God is love." And if we're going to represent God, we need to love the people that come through our doors. It's right and it's normal for us to love one another and visit with one another. But there are great churches that have wonderful fellowship, but are dying because they're so inwardly focused. They're so tight with each other that visitors are unable to break through that. And those churches don't always attract new members because they don't love the newcomers. And we should love new members. We should love new people. We should love visitors. We should love the lost. One time our family visited a church on a Sunday morning, a large church, and we came in where there were greeters, and they were all talking to each other. Again, we're a family of 6. They didn't even notice us. We all came in, and we're getting ready to come into the auditorium, and everything on the outside edges is full. There's some spots in the middle, and so we have to climb over people to get our family of 6 to the middle of those pews. And if you kind of look from where I'm seated tonight, you'll notice there's a little bit in the middle, but for the most part, everybody's down toward the edges, right? We come in, we sit down, it's easy. Man, it's hard to scoot all the way across, you know. I mean, it might be difficult. And so we come in, and nobody talks to us. Nobody asks us who we are. I go up and introduce myself to the pastor, but not a single person in the entire building talked to us the whole time that we were there. So here we are between services now, inside the church. There isn't a law that says you have to sit down when you get into the auditorium. We don't have that law. I'm okay if you're still moving around as the first song's starting in here and talking to people, looking around for visitors. Some people already have that mindset. They come into the auditorium and they're looking around to see if there's somebody they don't know. I know that our mindset is, I want to look for the person I connect with and I talk to every week, but they're looking for someone that they don't know. And so get up and look around for visitors, greet them, find out who they are, where they're from, listen to their story. And you're saying, well, am I going to feel welcome? Greet them. Let them know that you care. You might have to reach out of your comfort zones a little bit. And people are still moving around before the service starts. We don't want people to feel awkward and out of place. Normally a visitor will come in and they'll stop and they're not going to move very far. And they're going to just kind of stay there and wait. They may not even look right or left. They're just going to come in, sit down, look straight ahead, and wait for the service starts. And if no one reaches out to them, it's very unlikely that they're going to reach out to other people. So creating a culture is the way we recognize visitors, right? We want visitors to feel welcome. We don't want them to feel watched. We don't want them to feel like we're putting them on the spot. A visitor probably doesn't want to sit on the first 3 or 4 rows, you know, if everything else is full, because we also, not only do we fill up the edges, we normally fill up the back first. Wouldn't it be awesome if, especially on Easter, but every Sunday, if everyone moved up closer and in and left all those best seats in the back and on the outside edges for visitors on Sunday? That would be novel, wouldn't it? That would be so awesome. And where they didn't have to crawl over anyone and crawl over someone's feet just to be able to sit down in the middle of a row. In America, one of the most common fears is having to go to a party where strangers are going to be there and surround them and they don't know anyone. I'm going into this and I don't know anyone. The second most common fear is public speaking before a crowd. The third is to be asked a personal question in public. So we don't normally single out our visitors and say, hey, I've never seen you before. Will you stand up and tell me who you are? I don't do that from the pulpit. They don't want that. And so what we want to do is we want to kind of see from a visitor standpoint in our eyes. And I prefer the word guest to visitor. A visitor implies that they're just passing through. A guest implies that they may be here for a while. and I want to do everything that I can to make them feel comfortable. There was a church in Texas that decided instead of having visitor stand, used to a long time ago, I'll visitor stand, and let's give them a hand, we're glad you're here. Then they found out people absolutely hated that. And so a church in Texas decided what we'll do is we'll stand and we'll have the visitors stay seated and we'll sing to the visitors. It's so great to have you here. It's so good to have you near. Can you imagine, have you ever been sang to by a stranger? And I know that we don't do those things. The thought is we need to think through everything that we do from a visitor standpoint. How is that visitor feeling? And use wisdom. Remember, walk with wisdom toward those that are without. It does not take very long to find out if a person is an introvert or an extrovert when they walk through that door. If they're an introvert, they're kind of ducking and looking to the side. They really don't even want to see the greeters, and it's like an obstacle course. They are trying to avoid the people wherever they go, and they may not even want to look at them. They don't necessarily want you to give them a big hug, right? But they do want to know that you care. They do want to know that you love them, and so think through a visitor's mindset. Now the service is over. What's a visitor thinking now? Am I going to meet anyone when I leave? There's a lot of churches that try to make people feel welcome when they enter, but very few churches that make people welcome when they leave. So I'm telling all of you guys this. I know I'm probably singing to the choir tonight, but I feel like, as I've watched, our church is pretty friendly. I think our church does a great job at being friendly, but we need always the reminder. And it's easier to be friendly to some people than others, right? Some people I'm closed, and it's hard to open that door. I realize that some people are open and outgoing, and I have a daughter-in-law that's an introvert. And she said the problem with me initially was eye contact. You make eye contact. I was taught to make eye contact. But that makes some people nervous if you make eye contact with them. I make eye contact with everybody. And so some people, that makes them nervous. It makes them uncomfortable. But when they leave, it's easy for a guest to feel an emotional letdown. When they leave the building, they've enjoyed a great service, wonderful music, and a sermon from the Bible, but they leave and they have no personal contact from the time they stand up all the way to the car. Our greeters know the first people out of our building, if we let them, will be our guest. We say amen, they get up, and they're going to go right out the door. And they're difficult to catch. They'll go out the side doors, the exits over here. Sometimes I can't even see them when they go out those doors, and they are gone. And some of you, I really appreciate. You've done a good job, especially if a person comes down and sits in the middle. There are some of you that will catch them and you won't let them leave. And that's great, because it gives me a chance to catch them as well and introduce myself and get to talk to them. And it wouldn't hurt for all of us to practice what we teach the greeters, the 10-4. People have made up their mind about church in the first 10 minutes. And you only have 4 minutes to catch them before they're gone. That's really more like 2 minutes to catch them before they are gone and out the door. But I use 10-4 because my dad was a truck driver, and I like to say 10-4, good buddy, right? So, but we normally guests are going to be gone as fast as possible. So after the service, look around. See if there's someone that's a guest. And talk to someone that you have never met. After the visitors leave, then hang around, stay as long as you want, have fun, talk to your friends, your family, those that you really wanted to connect with. But they're asking, do these people really care that I came to their service? And we want them to leave knowing, yes, these people were glad that I was their guest today. If our church is going to grow, we have to be friendly to our guests when they show up. And I'd like just for all of you to take that as an individual challenge and responsibility. I'm going to watch for people that are all alone, or people that are new, or people that are guests. You may be the difference in their eternity. You might be the difference in the storm that they're going through. You could give them calm. And they need you. And we're glad that they're here, and we want you to be glad that they're here as well. Let's pray. Father, I thank you for your love. I thank you for your presence tonight. I thank you for this very practical message on hospitality. Help us to be people who show love when people come to our service. There's going to be so many different kinds of people here on Easter. Family members, random people, people just looking to come to church, people that are lost, people that are hurting, people that are lonely, people that need someone to say, hey, I'm glad you're here today, and let them know that we love them and we care. In Jesus' name we pray, amen. Thank you for being here tonight.